Hello, welcome to Wine and Reason and a bunch of boxes. So nothing's changed. That's normal. No, that's not true. Everything's changed. We have a lot more room. A lot of stuff is unpacked. Unfortunately, you just can't see it where I'm sitting right now. Uh, yes, I. Oh, Lone Wanderer, Lone Wanderer's Bunker. If you come to Tennessee, you come to Memphis. Like seriously, well, I'll like, at least let me take you out to dinner or something. I'll hook you up. All right. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I see Purple Rhymes with Orange. I see my sweetheart Junk Shop Library. I see Nevermore and the Lone Wanderer's Bunker all in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. So I decided to start. There is a lot to unpack. No, it's not even a joke. Purple Rhymes with Orange. Purple Rhymes with Orange wrote, "There's a lot to unpack there, JK." I'm like, no, it's not even a joke. There's a lot. It's okay. We know we're collectors. We're not even probably. We're definitely on the hoarder spectrum. We're not. It's not bad. We don't have dead animals. We don't have like little pathways carved through the house that only like two tiny feet can get through. It's not that bad. It's not that level of it, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay. Uh um yeah, that would be awesome. Lone Wanderer. I'd love to meet you in person sometime. You and your dear significant other. That'd be lovely. Um all right, so I've rambled a little bit uh to see if yeah, okay. Thank you. I gotta say, thank you, Purple, so much. Yeah, moved a year and a half ago, still not organized here. All right, you all know what's gonna happen. At some point, for no discernible reason, I will start junk shopping and probably freeze and weird things will happen. So I'm just gonna launch right into it. Uh I decided, and this is a bit selfish, but um I decided on this Dementia Diaries series because my mom is now in stage 2 dementia. There are only 3 stages. She has started experiencing Sundown Syndrome or sundowning. You can look that up. It essentially between right around 4 to 5 o'clock in the evening, she starts to have delusions. She sometimes has hallucinations. This didn't start until after she was in the hospital with conjunctive. Yep, no, that was the right word. Heart failure, and several weeks ago, she's back home. She's doing great. She's killing her PT. I mean, it's amazing how much mobility she's regained in just a couple of weeks. It's really awesome, and she's doing great on that front. But the dementia is still there. Hey, Angie Doe. Hey, girl. Good to see you. I'm always working when your show's on. So just FYI, that's why I have not been around. I'm always working when your show's on. Okay. Um, so yeah, so sundowning is no fun. Sometimes she doesn't recognize my dad. That part is really scary because she and my dad have been married for well over 50 years. So when she doesn't recognize him, things are really bad. Um, but I didn't want to start this story at the end. I wanted to start it earlier. So the thumbnail that I put up, that's a picture of my mom. My mom is the one, the lady wearing pants on one side of the picture, and my godmother is the lady in the dress on the other side of the picture. And yes, that is a Bible in between them, and there's a big poster board. They were doing some church event uh, many years ago. They're both 79 now, so this is many years ago. And Lone Wanderer pointed out that she could see the family resemblance, and yeah, I do look a lot like my mom. I don't know if you can tell because I'm kind of washed out, but I have my dad's forehead, but yeah, I look a lot like my mother. And I wanted to talk about the fact that I'm not great at making friends. And that's okay. I've never been great at making friends. I've always had, and keeping them. I've always had a few friends that were very close at various times in my life. And that has remained true to this day. I could count in under 10 fingers my in real life friends that I see on a regular basis, interact with on a regular basis. I have all of you who are lovely and wonderful online friends, and I do consider you friends very much. Please don't mistake me here. But I'm talking about like in terms of, who do you hang out with on a weekend because everyone's vaccinated and you're being careful, right? There are members of my own family I'm not hanging out with right now because they're not vaccinated. Um, so there's that, but there's also just I'm what's called an extroverted introvert, which means I can put it on. I can I can people I can people please. I can put on a bit of a show to get some attention if I feel like I need it. I can go through a work day in an office and make small talk and do all of those things. But every moment that I can, I have music or a podcast in my ears. And the moment I get home from that, I'm done. I have peopled all that I can people. My mother is a true extrovert. She loves people. She's a complete social butterfly. And she and my father have maintained the same large circle of friends since they were in their early 20s, which just blows my mind. I mean, I thought this was normal until I became an adult and realized no, people move away, they do different things. It's hard. It's hard to bridge those gaps. In geography, it's a big one, but yeah, in general, the internet makes it a little easier, but still, like seeing someone on Facebook isn't the same. So, you know, my mom and the other lady, the one in the dress in the picture, that lady is my godmother. Her name is Diane, and she was my other mom. The whole time growing up, I had a dad and then my godmother, and then at some point I just decided on my own that my godmother's husband Jim was also my godfather because I never met my godfather. The guy who actually stood up at my baptism. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Catholic thing, but and I think there are some Protestant denominations that have this too, but the Catholic godmother, godfather, basically they're the people who stand up at your baptism to say that if anything happens to your parents, they'll make sure that you're raised in the faith or whatever. But my actual godfather was my Aunt Janet, my favorite. Well, I love both of my aunts. I love you both equally. Damn it. Anyway, my Aunt Janet is my Aunt Janet's ex-husband. And yeah, and he was a bit of a dick. So I never, and that's my words, not hers. But yeah. So yeah, that's what happens. And with you, continue. Okay, good. Yeah. So point is, Diane and my mom, they have been friends since they were 14 years old, and they're 79 now. So this is a friendship that has lasted for more than 60 years, and that blows my mind. It really does. And it was difficult getting a hold of my godmother when mom went into the hospital, but I knew she'd want to know because she'd want to pray for her and all of that stuff. But I did manage to finally get hold of her. And then when because she just doesn't answer her phone anymore. That's what's happening. She never answers her phone. So and then I'm still in touch, of course, with her son, who was my best friend growing up. And luckily, I was able to like message him on Facebook because we live in different cities, and I was like, dude, like tell your mom this. I can't get a hold of your mom, and he was like, I will. I'm sorry, she never answers the phone. I was like, okay. But yeah, so my mom and Diane went to the same Catholic girls middle school and Catholic girls high school together, and they were in each other's weddings. They were uh, maid of honors, or actually, I think Diane was matron of honor at my mother's wedding. But yeah, they were in each other's weddings, and like I said, they've been friends since they were 14, and still maintain that even through the dementia, even through everything that life throws at people. They've both lost grandchildren, one to a car accident, one to cancer. Um, they've quite literally been through everything you can go through in life. They've been there for each other. So I was really happy that I had that picture of them smiling and doing this thing that they're both into that I totally don't believe in, but you know, honestly, tonight I don't care. I'm happy that my mom's not dead. I'm happy that she's still. Hey, Geo Sam, how you doing, my friend? Um, I'm happy that she and Diane still talk. Diane is fine mentally, by the way. She's all good up here. And longevity runs in her family, so I imagine she'll be around for a while. Um, not trying to count any chickens or anything, but yeah, stage two dementia. God, that's an interesting one. That's where the long term memory really kicks in because, for example, um, when my mother was brought in to the hospital with congestive heart failure, she told the ER doctor that she'd had rheumatic fever as a child. Now I had rheumatic fever as a child. Luckily, I didn't sustain any damage to my heart valves. But my mother's younger sisters came on the family chat and they were like, I don't remember Rose ever having rheumatic fever. Now, it is fair to admit that they're a little younger, so she might have had it before they were born, or she might have just been sick at some point when they were really small and they didn't know what it was. I don't think, my point is, I don't think they were lying. I just think they don't, they were like, I don't think that's right. Well, turns out my mother has mitral valve stenosis, which is only caused by the sorry, I'm a little drunk. This was a hard stream to do. Streptococcus bacteria, which is the same bacteria that causes strep throat, scarlet fever, and rheumatic fever. And yeah, my mom and I have all had that. Most of you have probably had strep throat at some point in your lives. Hopefully you didn't have any of the other things. And I only learned that because one of my mother's granddaughters is a nurse, and she came onto the family chat and said, "I I saw her chart. She has mitral valve stenosis that is only caused by Streptococcus bacteria." So that's when I knew that like that long term memory is still there. Yeah, purple. Yeah, I feel you. I get strep throat almost every year. I haven't had it. Yeah, I haven't had strep throat in a very long time. And I'm so sorry you get it every year. It's horrible. It's like trying to swallow with razor blades in your throat, or trying to swallow razor blades. But I haven't had it since I had rheumatic fever. And that's because I've been very lucky for one. And for two, I'm very careful. And for three, I was on antibiotics for many, many years after. I had rheumatic fever because once you get rheumatic fever, you're more susceptible to it than before. I could always get it again. And if I do, that chance of heart valve damage that my mother got that I didn't get increases exponentially. So I have to be very, very careful about that. Okay, so so it was congestive heart failure that sent her into the hospital, got her intubated. And for those of you who already know about this, I'm sorry I'm repeating. I'll be brief. But it was when, oh yeah, Nevermore doesn't remember having strep throat, but my memory sucks. Everyone's memory sucks. Don't feel bad. But yeah, it was when she was in the hospital that and off when she was off the ventilator and moved out of the ICU and into a room and was more aware of things. That's when she started sundowning for the first time, and that was rough. My dad texted me at one point and said, "Your mother just called me by her father's name." And he said that really stung. And I instantly remembered, because it triggered this memory of my mother being in my grandpa's nursing home room when he had dementia and was dying from it. Not dying that day or anything, but it was the last time that I visited. He didn't know who I was anymore, so I didn't see the point, and it was just horribly depressing. But he he grabbed her hand and called her by my grandmother's name, and I'm sure, and my dad was there, so I'm sure he had the same memory and had that same pang of fuck, like this is where we are now. This could happen. Um, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, yeah, she's in stage 2. Um, there's only 3 stages of dementia. It will kill her eventually. Um, it's going to be kind of a race between the dementia and the heart disease to see what happens first. And I have a lot of feelings about that I'm not willing to share publicly. I have a lot of feelings both ways about that. But I did want to say that even if the worst happens and you start losing yourself when you get older, I mean, that is kind of the worst thing, right? But at the same time, she's maintained all of these friendships. She still talks to my godmother once a week. I don't know what they talk about. I don't know when mom thinks it is that she's talking to her best friend, Diane, but they still talk every week like clockwork. And she, oh, thank you, Lil Wander. That's very kind. Yeah. And yeah, so they still talk every week. I hope me and my friend that I've had since I was 14, I hope we still do that when we're old and falling apart. Um, oh gosh. Sorry, I had more of an outline earlier in my head, but this is hard to talk about. It really is. So I think I'm going to stop now, and I'm just going to say that, we're in stage 2. Sundowning has started to be a thing. She, in the hospital, she thought she was being kidnapped. She thought, even when my dad was standing right there, she would say, "Why are you keeping me away from my husband?" When her husband was right there, next to her bed, holding her hand, telling her she was okay, that he was right there. She didn't see him. She saw something else. So that bit's terrifying. And having watched my mother and my aunts go through this with my grandfather, and now it being my turn to go through it with my mom. I'm, don't do this because it's stupid, but I'm not quitting smoking anytime soon, y'all. That's all I'm saying. It's rough. Stage 2 is rough. I want to end on a pleasant note. So I want to tell you that my brother and my sister-in-law and I have broken up times during the week when we can go out there and give my dad a break, because at this point, mom's using a walker. She's doing great with the PT, but she is using a walker, so it's really not safe for her to be home by herself, because if she fell, she could really hurt herself. So um, we're trying to make it so that someone is there all the time while still giving my dad, you know, just some breaks, because it's hard to be a caretaker. And that man, I mean, nobody can say he took his marriage vows lightly at this point. Like he is amazing, and I love my dad to pieces. So, cheers, my dad. He's fucking awesome. He's a great dad, and he's a great husband. But but it's hard. It's hard on him. Hey, Cadence. And so we're all trying to give him a break. So I go out there, and my work knows about this, but I go out there Friday after I do my half day at the factory. I go out there for my lunch break, and I hang out. Dad runs errands and stuff. And my mom has always had short hair, as you might have seen in the thumbnail. She likes her hair short. She does not like long hair. She doesn't even like it on me, frankly, but she's grown to accept it. But on herself, she can't stand it. And her hair had gotten really long over, because of COVID and everything. She hasn't been to a beauty parlor in like in over like a year and 8 months or something. So she finally asked me, because Dad had told her, he's like, Julie cuts her own hair. I mean, I know she has long hair and she just trims the ends, but she cuts her own hair, and I do, because I'm cheap. I was poor for a long time, so I don't pay people. No offense to beauticians out there, y'all know what you're doing, but mine's long enough that if I screw it up, you can't really tell, so it's okay. But she did. She finally asked me to come out and cut her hair. So last Friday I went out, and it's on top. It's very snowy, and her hair is incredibly soft, and I noticed how she has these natural waves, and this kind of ringlet thing that was starting to happen. And it kind of killed me to cut it, because I thought it was so pretty. And I was telling her, I was like, your hair is amazing. It's so healthy, and it's so thick in the back. Like, I could see where I get my hair from. And she said, oh yeah, I haven't had a permanent in going on 20 years now. And, my whole life, this woman was never without a permanent. That was weird. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I pointed out the wavy and the curly thing, and because my hair is not curly, and I was like, oh, this is where my brother gets his curly hair from. And she said, oh yes, I've always had a natural wave. It was great. So I gave her kind of a 1920s bob as best as I could do. Got it off of her neck, got it out from where it wouldn't hang in her eyes. That was really bugging her. So yeah, and it was fun. It was actually fun. We had a good talk. We had a good time. There's a funny moment where I didn't know how to work her phone, because it's an iPhone and I have an Android, and her doctor's office called, and I think I left a message. I think we left an entire 20-minute conversation on her doctor's voicemail. Luckily, we didn't talk about anything that I guess her doctor wouldn't already know. I don't know. It was weird. And she only told me she had a moment. She had a great. She was very lucid. It was a good day. She started to tell me something she'd already told me, and said, "Wait, did I already tell you that I talked to that person today on the phone?" And I said, "Yes, you did." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And that was it. And she only repeated a couple of things a few times, so it was a good day last Friday. We'll see how this Friday goes. And my mom has the softest hair in the world. All right. I love you guys. Remember, you can't find truth in wine, but you can find it in reason. And just tell the people you love them. Because who the fuck knows right now?